The Senate will come to order. Senator Murphy,
Mr. President, I impose a call of the Senate.
the Senate is now under call. Senator Murphy,
Mr. President, I move that further proceedings under the roll call be dispensed with and that the Sergeant at Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
on that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, if you be so kind as to stand. In our tradition, we start with prayer, and today's chaplain is Father Bobby Fish from St. John the Baptist Catholic Church in Salvage, Minnesota. And following the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
My prayer for you today is a prayer for joy. Let us pray. O God, source of all joy, let us move through this day with an open heart, seeking what is true and lasting. Remind us that we are united in this. We all seek and strive for happiness, a longing placed within us by you, carried forward by those before us who hoped we might know a more abundant joy. Grant us the grace to recognize that the world is filled with joy in what is simple and real and quietly given. Even a moment at a window, the sight of new leaves on the trees again, new life still unfolding without hurry or demand. Remind us that your goodness is near. Give us a quiet gladness in what is real, in honest work, in simple acts of kindness, in the steady rhythm of ordinary days. Free us from what fades and does not last, from the restless need for more, from comparisons that unsettle the heart, from illusions that promise happiness but leave us empty. And when burdens come, as they do for all, let us not lose heart, but remember that joy can remain even beneath the weight of the cross. And in the end, may we rest in this truth, that beyond all striving, beneath all passing things, we are held in your love, and in that love, we find the joy that does not fade. Amen.
Thanks, members. The secretary will take the roll.
Abler, Barr, Bolden, Carlson, Champion, Clark, Coleman, Swadzinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Drazkowski, Duckworth, Farnsworth, Fateh, Frentz, Green, Grunhagen, Gustafson, Hochschild, Herr, Heinzmann, Hemmingson-Jaeger, Hoffman, Holmstrom, Housley, Howe, Jasinski, Johnson, Johnson-Stewart, Klein, Coran, Prune, Kunish, Kupec, Lang, Latz, Liskey, Limmer, Lucero, Mann, Marty, Matthews, May-Quaid, McEwen, Miller, Mohammed, Murphy, Nelson, Umu Verbatim, Pappas, Pa, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rasmussen, Rest, Seeberger, Utke, Weber, Wiesenberg, Westland, Westrom, Wickland, Zhang.
Members, a quorum is present. The following members intend to vote from a remote location pursuant to Rule 40.7. Senators Carlson, Heinzmann, Lucero, Nelson, and Port. Members, if you'd like to follow along, I'm reading from today's Senate agenda, which is dated Wednesday, April 15, 2026. We will begin at the second order of business, which is executive and official communications. The following communications was received. Please note, no action is required. Members, we'll now move to the fifth order of business, which is reports of committees. Senator Murphy for a motion to adopt committee reports.
Mr. President, I move the committee reports printed in the agenda be adopted with the exception of the reports pertaining to Senate Concurrent Resolution Number 6.
On the adoption of committee reports, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members, we will now go to the sixth order of business, which is second reading of Senate bills. The secretary will read the Senate file numbers.
Senate file number 4282.
The Senate file has been given its second reading. We'll now move to the seventh order of business, which is second reading of House bills. The secretary will read the House file numbers.
House file numbers 3437, 3467, 3479, 3544, 3699, 4118, and 4241.
As I mentioned, members, the House files have been given their second reading. We'll now proceed to the eighth order of business, which is introduction and first reading of Senate bills. The bills listed on today's introduction calendar are given their first reading and referred as indicated with no changes. Members, will now proceed to the ninth order of business, which is motions and resolutions. We will adopt the author's motion as one motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Now I will call on an individual senator, that being none other than Senator Hochschild. Senator Hochschild, for your motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate file number 4634 be withdrawn from the Committee on Jobs and Economic Development and re-referred to the Committee on Taxes. I've spoken with the chairs and they've agreed. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Hochschild. Members, Senator Hochschild moved that Senate file number 4634 be withdrawn from the Committee on Jobs and Economic Development and re-referred to the Committee on Taxes. On that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails. Members remaining under motions and resolutions, I'll now call on Senator Murphy to designate special orders. Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bills be made special orders for immediate consideration.
Members, the special order that is dated today, which is April 15, 2026, that the special orders list is on your desk. We'll start with Senate file number 4339. Senator Hoffman.
Mr. President, members, thank you for the opportunity to present Senate File 4339. Governor Walz designated April as Safe Digging Month, so this is a timely bill to bring to the Senate today, Mr. President. Senate File 4339 does two straightforward but important things. First, Mr. President, it requires an electronic positive response from utility operators when underground locations, utilities are located. Second, it requires the operators to periodically update the contact information the person's locating underground utilities. Before any excavation work begins, contractors use the 811 call before you dig system to request that underground utilities be located and marked. And once that request is submitted, then the utilities respond by marking their facilities in the field. Hitting a cable line may be inconvenient, but Mr. President, if you hit a gas line, that's dangerous. Contractors rely on timely and accounts locations that keep workers and the public safe. We worked on stuff like this last year, only it was a different type of digging. Senate File 4339 simply codifies the best practice that is already used by many utilities, and it requires that electronic positive response. And that means that the reporting status will locate requests, Mr. President, such as whether all lines have been marked, whether there is no conflict with evacuation, whether no utility is located in the work area, or whether additional coordination required, such as the work that we do in this body. Electronic positive responses allows contractors to view response in real time before starting the work. This bill was brought by the Associated General Contractors of Minnesota, and it's supported by a large group of stakeholders. The Minnesota Transportation Alliance, the Cable Association, the Asphalt Pavement Association, the Concrete Pavers Association, and Dig In Midwest. And there is not any opposition other than there's been conversation about an amendment being added on that isn't within the same bailiwick. But really what this does is it makes an industry best practice universal. Speaking of which, that amendment, it should actually go back, if that is brought on, Mr. President, should go to Senator Dibble and brought back in his committee, because there is work that has to be done with that. So, Mr. President, it's a good bill. I request that people vote green on it, and thank you very much.
Any other discussion on Senate File number 4339 before we give the bill its third reading? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File number 4339, a bill for an act relating to utilities, modifying certain requirements governing the excavation notice system.
Third reading. Any other discussion before we vote for final passage on Senate File number 4339? Senator, are you standing again to be recognized? Senator Hoffman.
Mr. President, it's a good bill. Vote green.
Thank you, Senator Hoffman. All right, the Secretary will take the roll for final passage of Senate File number 4339. Members, please vote. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator May Quaid votes aye.
Senator May Quaid votes aye.
Senator Port votes aye.
Senator Port votes aye.
And Senator Pa votes aye.
And Senator Pa votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lucero votes aye.
Senator Lucero votes aye.
Senator Heinzman votes aye.
Senator Heisman votes aye.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
And Senator Nelson votes aye. Senator Rest, are you going to vote? Thank you. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 64 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, we will now go to House File 3718. Senator Kupec.
Thank you, Mr. President. House File 3718 modernizes the regulatory framework of the Minnesota Board of Veterinary Medicine. So a couple of things it does, key changes in the bill. The bill updates statutory definitions, adding key terms such as client consent, emergency stabilization, telemedicine, teletriage, physical rehabilitation, veterinary specialists, and vet techs. It makes a couple of changes to the board composition. It modernizes licensing by updating application and credentialing requirements for veterinarians and technicians. A few changes to the scope of practice. It amends the definition of what a veterinary practice is to include behavioral and dental care. It also authorizes, again, telemedicine requiring veterinary client-patient relationship, and it updates reproductive procedures and treatment and categories. It also does delegation to veterinary techs and unlicensed personnel. We've done some expansion on that. It kind of brings them in. It also updates drug and prescription regulation, which was kind of sorely lacking, and then it does repeal a few provisions to consolidate statutory language. That is the bill in a nutshell.
Members, any other discussion on House File 3718? Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Would Senator Kupec yield for a couple of questions?
Senator Kupec, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senator Kupec, I was reading through this bill, and a lot of it looks like there's stricken language that's added other places, but there is a few things in here that I did wonder about. First of all, who brought you this bill? Who asked for the bill?
Senator Kupec to the question.
It was the Minnesota Board of Veterinary Medicine.
Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. President. And then on page 1321, even though I don't know that it's a big deal, I'm wondering why someone wanting to be a veterinarian would have to pass a background check. Am I reading that wrong?
Senator Kupec, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Kupec to the question.
Sure. And on page 13, which line are we looking at here?
13.21.
13. Okay. Yes, it does require somebody to complete a background check. And I would say that some of these veterinarians are dealing with drugs and medicines and doling them out, and we probably would like a background check to make sure if you're dealing with those, you're not doing anything you shouldn't be doing.
Senator Green.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one more question that, as I was looking through the bill, and this is on page 7, line 5. It looks like it's changing the board members from 7 to 9. Am I reading that right?
Senator Kupec, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Kupec to the question.
You are absolutely correct, Senator Green. It is adding a licensed veterinarian technician to the board because we've expanded what those people can do, so we wanted to get their input on the board. And it also adds an additional veterinarian or technician that is a flexible seat.
Senator Green.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. Then just one question, and this is just something that I was curious about that I didn't have time to look up. Who served on the board before? Because it looks like you're spelling out exactly who can be on the board, and they're appointed by the governor. How were they appointed previously, and what were the qualifications before that you've needed to be changed?
Senator Kupec, will you yield for a question? He will yield for a question. Senator Kupec to the question.
Sure. Previously, there were 5 veterinarians on the board and 2 public members, and I believe they were also still appointed by the governor.
Senator Green.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on House File 3718 before we give the bill its third reading? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
House File Number 3718, a bill for an act relating to animals, modifying provisions relating to the practice of veterinary medicine and veterinary technology.
Third reading. Any other discussion before we vote for final passage on House File 3718? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll. Senator voting. For those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
And Senator Port votes aye.
And Senator Port votes aye. Senator Drazkowski. For those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lucero votes no.
Senator Lucero votes no.
Senator Heinzman votes no.
Senator Heisman votes no.
Senator Nelson votes aye.
Senator Nelson votes aye. All senators having voted who desires to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There have been 52 ayes and 13 noes. The bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, we'll now go to Senate file number 4455. Senator Drazkowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before you is Senate File 4455. It deals with the Lake City Port Authority, the Red Wing Port Authority. I've also got an A1 amendment, A2 amendment that I will present in a moment, Mr. President. Section 1 begins with the Lake City Port Authority. In 2022, the legislature passed a special law giving Port Authority powers to the city of Lake City. That law required Lake City to file the resolution recognizing the new Port Authority with the Minnesota Secretary of State. Last summer, the current city council became aware of the fact that the documents had not been properly filed according to law. Today, the Port Authority is not legally recognized. The bill waives the legal time limit for the city to file the resolution of Port Authority recognition and offers them a new deadline of January 1st, 2027. The bill also limits three powers made available to a Port Authority by the general law that city leaders have agreed are not needed for their Port Authority to operate effectively. Section 2 relates to the Red Wing Port Authority. Mr. President, prior to 2011, their Port Authority's board member term length was the default 6 years extended to them by the Port Authority general law. In 2011, the term length was amended by the legislature to be 3 years. At the request of Red Wings leaders, this bill changes the term length back to the standard 6 years. And with that introduction, Mr. President, I would offer the A2 amendment.
Senator Drazkowski offers the A2 amendment. The secretary will report the A2 amendment.
Senator Drazkowski moves to amend Senate File number 4455 as follows. Page 1 after line 6, insert. This is the A2 amendment.
Senator Drazkowski to your A2 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. They did amend this piece onto the bill in the House, so I'd like to make them congruent if we can. Mr. President, members, the City of Buffalo has been dealing with the issue of amending the size of their Municipal Public Utilities Commission. Last year, a law was passed that ended the need for cities to obtain legislative approval in order to amend the size of their Municipal Public Utilities Commissions. The new law requires a city to adopt an ordinance to change the size of their commission. It also specifies that a proposed ordinance to reduce the size of a commission requires approval of 15% of the voters in order to be ratified. The new law is missing a voter ratification process for increasing the size of the commission. This amendment fixes that, requiring the same voter ratification for both reducing or increasing the size of a municipal public utilities commission in our state. I'd ask for your support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Members, we're on the A2 amendment. Any discussion on the A2? Senator Rest.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if Senator Drazkowski would yield for a question.
Senator Drazkowski, will you yield? He will yield. Senator Rest.
Senator Drazkowski, was this language included in another bill?
Senator Drazkowski, to the question, she said, was this language included in another bill?
Mr. President, Senator Rest, not that I'm aware of.
Senator Rest.
I'm sorry, I did not understand his answer.
He said not that he's aware of.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the A2 amendment? Senator Young? Oh, okay. Anyone else? Seeing none, all in favor of the A2 amendment say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails and the A2 amendment is adopted. Members, we are now on Senate file number 4455 as amended. Any other discussions before we give the bill its third reading? Seeing none, the Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File Number 4455, a bill for an act relating to local government, modifying the Port Authority powers of the City of Lake City, etc.
Third reading. Any other discussion on Senate File Number 4455 as amended before we vote for final passage as amended? Seeing none, the Secretary, did you want to say anything else? Okay. Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll on Senate File Number 4455 as amended. Senator Bowden, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye.
And Senator Port votes aye.
And Senator Port votes aye. Senator Jasinski, for those voting pursuant to Rule 40.7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lucero votes aye.
Senator Lucero votes aye.
Senator Heinzman votes aye.
Senator Heinzman votes aye.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
And Senator Nelson votes aye. All senators having voted who desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 65 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Members, we will now go to the 13th order of business, which is announcements of Senate interest. Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise with a very important announcement for everyone in the chamber. And that is today is Steak on a Stick Eve, which means that tomorrow is Steak on the Stick Day. So please, members, be aware of how important this is, supporting our friends in the Cattlemen's Association, and also eating some delightful animal. So tomorrow, Steak on a Stick Day, should be a holiday. It's not, but I'll be there. I'll see you there.
Any other announcements of Senate interest? Seeing none, Senator Murphy for a motion. Senator Murphy, before you do that, I want to, without objection, the following senators will be excused from today's session: Senator Weber and Senator Miller. Now, Senator Murphy.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until Thursday, April 16th at 11 a.m.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. All those opposed say no. The motion prevails and the Senate is now adjourned.